Hello everyone, thanks for dropping by. In case you didn't recognise her, that's Helena Mattisson, spelt with 2 T's and 2 S's. She's Swedish, and the only thing I've ever seen her in is Iron Man 2, during the party scene. In the after party of the party, she was the character that threw the objects in the air, including the watermelon, for Tony Stark to shatter with an energy burst from his arc reactor on his chest. Just before he had the fight with War Machine, i.e., what's his name, Rodney. And the question I always answer is, if I was super wealthy, would I date her? Not a chance. She's happily married and with 2 children, and she lives in Los Angeles. And would I date her if she was single? Nope. She's about 2 to 3 inches taller than me, so top of my head would probably come to be about there, and that's with bare feet before she wears heels. And as you know, women, as a rule, tend to go for guys which are much taller than them. So she's a strikingly attractive woman, guaranteed, but as before, it'll just be interesting to see what she looks like in real life. So apart from that, I wouldn't even go near her because she's completely off limits. Anyway, enough about Helena. On the Man Guide YouTube channel for MGTOW content, there's been lots of clips of women complain about how they can't cope with the bills, etc., and the really giving covert signals that they find they can't really do without a guy. That has something of a contradiction on the articles I've found over the weekend. The first is this. As you can see, it's Facebook, and the Way We Met post, best stories on the internet. It says more women are openly saying they would rather stay single than settle, which contradicts all those TikTok videos on Man Guide. The financial independence is up, tolerance for emotional consistency is down, and the pressure to marry just because it isn't hitting the same in 2026. Is this empowerment? Protection is a shift, and what partnership's supposed to look like? The real question is standards rising or expectations changing. I can't find this article as a whole, but going down the comments, it's quite interesting. Woman, 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 a guy, a guy, a guy, a guy, a guy, a guy. Now this is the interesting one. Philip Ferguson. That's him. It's funny how women say they're settling often when they bring no value. High value men will age like wine. True. Average women will age like milk. True. We go back to Helena. She's, as I said, strikingly attractive, but she's in her late 30s, maybe 40s now, but eventually the aging process and the war will even affect women like her. They say they are choosing to stay single, but often they don't qualify for a relationship, i.e. they don't really bring much to the table with the kind of guy they want to attract, i.e. the top 10% or the top 1%. These guys value peace over drama, chaos and baggage. Philip, he's more or less been divorced, married, he's seen what women are like in real life, so he's just given some MGTOW advice to this thread. Then Steve, he just thinks it's funny. Mark, financial independence is up. What economy are you living in? True. The American economy is in quite dire straits at the moment. Make it so liberals shouldn't procreate anyway. And then you can reply to that if you want. But anyway, women are rather to stay single than settle, even though that contradicts what all the TikTok videos are saying, as they can't find a guy to date them. However, over in America, single women are buying homes in record numbers, surpassing 20 million for the first time. Oh, this was done on 3rd of March. Fast forward to the 16th of March. It says, defying brutally affordable crisis, independent women are outpacing men 2-1 in the race for property management. And then it goes down. Single female home owners in America have surged to a record high of more than 20 million in 2025, doubling the market share of single male counterparts despite a deteriorating economic landscape. And then the surge of female buyers is rooted in decade-long pursuit of higher education and a career advancement, i.e. career women who probably are 3s, 4s, maybe 5s in looks, but they want a 7, 8 and 9 looking guy. Data shows that the share of single women with at least a bachelor's degree jumped 35% in 2025, up from 20% in 2000. During this same period, the median household income in this demographic climbed from 51k to 42k a year. So they've got a degree. They're not going to date a guy who's earning less than them. They're not going to date a guy who is not a college degree, even though he might be a fully qualified tradesman. So that gives you an idea of what the dating system is like. It could be one of these women. They'd rather stay single than get married, etc. The first American economist, Odette Cauchy, noted that while affordability remains strained, these structural gains provide a durable foundation of ownership. The rates softened not because fewer women owned homes, but because more women formed independent households. And then it goes down, what they look for, neighborhood security, focus on well-lit streets and homes that feel secure, of course. Even guys in America would probably want that. Because there's some areas in America you'd be advised to sleep with a gun under your pillow. If I was in one of those areas, I'd certainly sleep with a gun under my pillow. Low maintenance, prefer to condos, wherever a condo is. Townhomes or single family units that are easy to manage solo, understandable. And community vibe, prioritizing walkability and proximity to social hubs or community centers. In other words, women want places where they can mix and have a social life. Guys can avoid that. Guys can fly solo, but women can't fly solo. He says Romania said she has noticed an uptick of single female households in local markets as they seek clarity on the property long-term value. And then sacrifices. This bit was interesting. The path to the 20 million mark has not been easy. Many women are achieving home ownership through significant personal sacrifices. Well, those women on the Man Guide videos, all the stuff that they pay for in makeup, etc., shows they're not really cutting back on that kind of thing, including cutting non-essential spending, which they don't do, delaying holidays, and working multiple jobs to bring down the down payment gap. These women on the Man Guide videos on YouTube, on TikTok, they're just working one job. They're not working two jobs. One or two are working two jobs, but the majority of them are either looking for a job or they just work in the one job and they find that they can't manage with what's coming in compared to what's going out. It says this resilience follows the disproportionate impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, which was a load of bunk, on female employment, which many dubbed a she-cession. So obviously it's affected women more than guys. And then Realtor, that's a American estate agent, said that the demographic is diverse, including a significant portion of older women who are separated or widowed. In other words, they've got divorced and they might have had the house in a divorce settlement and seeking a fresh start. Whether through inheritance, career success or sheer grit, single women have emerged as a dominant force in the housing market, outlasting economic volatility to secure their place of the American dream. But owning a house is one thing. In America, there's all sorts of flavors of taxes when you actually own a house. Guys maybe not wanting to own a house, they're just content to rent. I rent, so I'm quite happy here. But anyway, more single women than guys are buying homes in America. However, I found this. Young women feel left behind under Trump's economy. Women across the political spectrum share their pessimism with the job market and rising prices with two focus groups. Now this was done on 25th of March this year. It's an article about the voting intentions of women and who they voted for in the last election. But this is the only bit which stood out from a MGTOW perspective. The long-standing gender gap, how men and women have widened even further in the 2024 election, especially among 18 to 29-year-olds. In the years since, politicians and commentators have devoted lots of attention to the economic, social and psychological struggles of young men, whose significant rightward shift has helped fuel Trump's 2024 victory. Well, the way Trump's been going on, I suspect a lot of those men are having second thoughts about why they voted for him. Well, this is the bit which sets it off. But there's been far less attention to the state of young women who face the same economic conditions as men and tend to register to vote in and participate in politics, especially Democratic primaries. Now all these women, they independent, they facing the same economic things as what guys have faced, but they find that they don't like it, so they vote in for the Democrats, hoping for the cash and prizes to carry on, but it's not going to happen. Then we go mostly about the economics and the politics, etc., and the various voting groups. It says you don't need to understand and have compassion and empathy for folks who are going through all kinds of different things, and there's something that every candidate needs. Excuse me. No matter what you're running for, and be able to do, she added. They're just not getting that from Trump. They're not feeling it from Trump. Even folks who voted for Trump don't seem to be feeling it from Trump. Well, Trump is a political grifter from what I can see from this side of the pond. And it says women and the second focus groups also added to believe political figures from both sides of the aisle, including women, are out of touch with the lives of everyday working people. That is the same over in my country. And that's the article. Now, they're feeling bad under the current American government. Also found this, CNBC, Women and Wealth. Most women are confident savers, survey find, but where they stash their cash could be a problem. And as a tangent to that, women are going to college, but they're racking up debt. The cruelty has just broken the point. A broken student loan system has women at the centre. The confused litigation, and threat of wage garnish under Trump have left millions of teachers, nurses and other public servants with few options and little hope. And a student debt. Over here in Britain, we do have a student loan company, and when you start to pay it back, it starts at £23,000 per year, and it goes on a sliding scale, as in the more you earn, the more you pay back. If you earn under £23,000, you don't pay anything back. And when you reach retirement age, if you're still in that, then the loan gets written off. So if America would adopt something like that, then that could ease this situation. Anyway, most women are confident savers, survey found that where they stash their cash could be a problem. This was done May 8th. And roughly 51% of women hold non-retirement funds, either traditional checking or savings account, or in physical cash. That could be some of the women on the videos on Man Guide. It says, many of them also say that money earning is less than 3% of the wage gap's nonsense. There are also ways to earn enough interest to mitigate the effects of inflation while keeping such savings easily accessible. And then this is mostly just about the American financial system and how it could help women with the savings if they're economizing and putting some of it away and not wasting money on trivial things that a lot of these women on the videos do. It says when it comes to non-retirement savings, most women, 71%, express some confidence of being able to stash aside cash, a new Vanguard survey shows. It says, however, many of them may also want to evaluate where they're keeping their money, experts say. Half hold non-retirement funds, either a traditional checking or savings accounts or in physical cash, according to Vanguard's National Representative Survey. Almost half of those are cash savers. Most of that have money in accounts that earn less than 3%. And then it gives advice, and where is it? The bit that took my eye. Here we go. Beyond these accounts, you also consider certificates of bloody hex. Certificates of deposit or CDs, as well as US Treasury bonds. Now, if that's similar to what we have over here in Britain, gilts, they lend the US government an amount of money. It could be 5 years or 10 years at an amount of interest, and the US government is by law required to pay them that interest when the bonds matured. In other words, you're giving the US government some of your money to help the US government pay its bills. It's called gilts in my country. It started around about the 18th century, and it's called gilts because the original borderline of the paper certificates you were given had a gilded edge. So it's a way to put your money away with a guaranteed interest, but there's various other things you could do probably in America. I really wouldn't know. Over here in my country, it's National Savings and Investments, which are backed by His Majesty's Treasury, and it's 100% safe if you put your money in it. You can put about £5, maybe £6 million per year if you've got that kind of access money coming in. So it says you may have more liquidity with markets and high yield savings accounts, but some people on the trade-off do not have access immediately to additional yields. And then more yada yada about the percentage of savings, US Treasury savings bonds. Series 1 bonds will pay 4.26% interest. Interest rates for up to 4 and 3 yield. I had a look at NSI the other day. Have I got it? Yeah. products, premium bonds, you can go from 25 to 50,000 pound, and every month there's a prize draw, and the big one is £1,000,000, and for months it's £100,000, £50,000 and £25,000, and at the end of the day you cash that in when you've had enough and you get your original deposit back. The guaranteed growth bonds, these are the interests. The income bonds, you put from £500 to £1,000,000 in, and you can either have 1 year, 2, 3 or 5 years, and that gives you every month that percentage of whatever it is as an income. But you do get taxed on it, because the tax-free allowance is £12,250. Anything over that you pay tax. Even though I'm a pensioner, I'm paying tax on some of my pensions. And direct savers and income bonds, which is the same more or less as that, and direct ISA, every year £20,000 you can put in without paying a penny in interest. But anyway, that's what we have over here in Britain. So however, when you purchase in I-bond, you can't access the money for at least 1 year, and if you cash out before 5 years, you lose 3 months of interest, and then that's it. But this bit took my eye, and it also is here. Open that. Older women set to inherit most of the $54 trillion in the great wealth transfer to widow spouses. Now, with MGTOW, guys in America are not dating, they're not getting married, so that is only a one-off. That won't last, because the fewer people get married, there's fewer money to be transferred to women should the guy die or get divorced or whatever. So this is just a flash in the pan. An estimated $54 trillion is expected to pass to spouses during the so-called Great Wealth Transfer, with $40 trillion of it going to women who are baby boomers or older, the research shows. This is largely because the average lifespan of men in America is 76.5 years, compared with women who are 81.4 years for females. Older women whose spouses are traditionally handled investments and long-term planning may want to make sure that they at least know some basic financial advisors. Some are actually worth it, but the majority of women today, modern women that is, they're not going to get their hands on this $54 trillion, because guys in America are not bothering to date, marry or have children. So who gets their money is anything. If the guy's got any sense, he'll spend his money, so when he dies he's got nothing left. And 35% of Gen Z home buyers are single women, is why they need an estate plan. That links to that article. But anyway, I think I'm on the 20 minutes now. I think I'm just beyond it. The women don't want, rather say single than get married, but they're buying homes, and they're feeling behind in the economy. In other words, they're feeling the bills coming in, and if they got a home, they're getting more bills, and those that are saving, they're having trouble where to put the money. But it's slowly changing the reality from what these women post on TikTok, on videos like Man Guide, to reality, and they're going to feel the economy even harder if there's a full-blown recession or depression coming in through this pointless war with Iran, because the gas prices in America are creeping up to $5 a gallon, and that's going to affect everything across the entire American economy. So we'll just have to watch this space and see what happens. I think I'm way past 20 minutes now, so you all know the routine, people. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe. Completely up to you. So I'll try and find any more on this sort of topic and thread, but for now that's it from me. Bye bye.